So DC has decided to reinvent Batman in the brand new series, Absolute Batman. Many people are saying it's amazing, it's a breath of fresh air.
This shit is gas, man.
Wrong.
This shit is gas! Like, is this what DC meant when they said DC all in?
I'm kind of retarded.
I'm here to tell you if that's the truth. Spoiler alert, it's not at all. It's literally one of the worst takes on Batman ever. Quick disclaimer before I start. This isn't some rage bait video. I'm not lying to get your attention.
He's doing exactly that, and he knows it. Oh my God, he knows it. Hey guys, Nathan Brendan Masters, and those of you who know me know that I am well versed in the whole back and forth on woke comics and what they are and all that stuff. Well versed in that, and you know I am. You know, I used to do videos about this, and I'm finna expose this dude. First off, to be doing a woke comics or like a woke grift in 2024, bruh, there's an audience for it, but that audience is decreasing. A lot of companies are kind of coming to their senses. That's not to say woke nonsense isn't still happening, but it's happening a lot less.
This comic is a disgrace to creators like Frank Miller, Jeff Loeb. This isn't the Batman they envisioned. I know it's a different take on the character, but what this does ruins the character entirely.
Wait, a disgrace to Frank Miller? Has this kid not read Dark Knight Returns? Didn't read Dark Knight Returns?
So this comic strives to reinvent the world of Batman in every way possible. What if a bodybuilder, engineer dude became Batman? Yeah, that's not badass. I'm sorry.
That is badass. That's 100% badass. And it's the type of stuff that people wanted to see in comics. Like, if you're gonna remake Batman, let's see something like that. That sounds dope. Not sure why you would think that that's woke in any kind of way, shape, or form. That's the type of thing that old schoolers wanted to see. Something like that. And that's a very masculine kind of thing. You got a bodybuilder, he's an engineer. That's on spot. That's the type of thing you wouldn't see in a woke comic, because they would tell you that kind of guy is toxic. So again, you're grifting. You got to get better at this grift if you're going to do it that way. The problem with this guy is he doesn't really understand what a woke comic is. It's not just a comic with a few black folks and some women in it. That's what a lot of people think a woke comic is. But no, there's a very specific thing that makes a comic woke. You ever see any of those religious movies where people act a certain way and they do things that you go, yeah, I don't think they would be doing that. It's the difference between having a character think about having an affair when in actuality the character would be at that point having an affair. Shout out Rayford Steele, Left Behind. Well, that's because that's a religious movie and the characters have to act that way to not offend the actual viewers that are watching the movie. Because the ideal of the film is to push the religion, not necessarily progress the story in any way aside from, well, pushing the religion. Woke comics work in a similar way. You get a very clear idea that they're trying to push a message, whether you want that message or not, and that message many times will take precedent over the story. Sometimes to a point where you don't even know why it's connected with the story. So far, he's acknowledged that it's a retelling of Batman. It's a new Batman from bottom up, and he's an engineer and a bodybuilder. And if you've seen pictures of Batman, of Absolute Batman, he's huge. Definitely not the kind of Batman that a woke person would create.
There's people all across the internet saying that this comic is badass, it's awesome. This comic literally reads like those edgy 90s comics that every single person makes fun of.
Yeah, people make fun of Michael Bay movies, but they also go to see them. Those comics that people make fun of, people also love, and they love those comics to the point they were making millions of dollars and selling more copies than anything is selling now in the American comic market. To this day, people still get excited when Rob Liefeld is announced to be working on a project, and he was the bad artist, quote unquote. People are excited because those comics were exciting. That's what people are missing.
It's like a 12-year-old's fan fiction of Batman.
Yeah, it's a fucking comic book, dude. It's about time. Get some childish imagination and some badassery back in the books. People want it.
This comic has everything. It has horrible, edgy dialogue. It has some pretty gay character designs. And if you can believe it, they managed to race swap another redhead from comic books. They managed to jump in there and turn them black.
Generally, I would agree with you on the race swapping, especially the redhead thing. I don't know what that's about, and I can see you definitely took that personally.
And turned them black.
You yourself acknowledged this was something new. They're remaking it. They're rebuilding it. They're coming out with something fresh. In this particular situation, race swap, don't care.
Turn them black.
What's next?
Absolutely insane creative decisions happening here. Who in their right mind greenlit Alfred's look? What is the haircut? What is the beard? Why is he an MI6 mercenary with like grenade launchers and sniper rifles? This is straight up cringe. I'm sorry.
Now, you started this video off under the premise that this was a woke comic book. So far, with the exception of a redhead race swap, everything you've been saying here sounds badass, and probably sounds badass to the average comic viewer, the average person who would read Batman. This sounds badass. I now want to pick this book up, and I wasn't planning on it. You did what the SJWs did to Ethan Van Sciver by showing the book around and telling people about it and trying to make fun of it. It made people want to buy the book because the book sounded cool. What you've been describing has been the exact opposite of woke. If your premise was just you didn't like the book, it would be fine. But your premise is the book is somehow woke.
And apparently Bruce Wayne isn't some rich guy anymore. Instead, he's a working class citizen, working all these different construction jobs, learning engineering. So he's this super genius.
Spider-Man. You're literally describing Spider-Man. Are you saying Spider-Man is uniquely woke? They just made Spider-Man. That's all they did. And Spider-Man is like Marvel's Batman. Like, to the point they started calling him the Iraq Knight at one point. That's a thing that actually happened. You know, he's got Black Cat, like Batman has Catwoman. I mean, you know, this is like things coming full circle.
And his mother is still alive. So there's no motive to fight that you're an orphan. Your two parents were shot in front of you.
Bro, do you know how emotions work? You only need one loved one to get killed for you to want to go out and stop the shit. You don't need for both of them to die. His mom is around, so he can have a person that he has to take care of, i.e. his Aunt May. That's all this is, dude. I know you don't have a... Maybe because I write comic books and stuff, it's hard for you to see. All they did was make him Spider-Man, dude. That's all they did. They just made him Spider-Man. That's it. That's all they did. He's a working class hero. Actually, I would love to see him maybe do something to work his way up to being rich. And if they never go that route, that's fine too. There's nothing wrong with a working class hero.
I don't really know what's going on here. I was shocked reading it. He's walking around like an emo kid, brooding. I don't know what's going on with Batman these last few years, but people need to learn that his hair doesn't come down over his eyes. He doesn't listen to Nirvana, and he's not gay.
And to say what Batman is in a new retelling of the story, that's stupid. That's the exact opposite of what it is. The whole thing is to change what he was into something else. I don't see how you're missing that. And again, you haven't told me anything that's particularly woke about this story. You're fucking up your grift, kid.
Then the terribly ridden villains enter, the party animals, and they just start shooting up the place. Then that's when we get the glimpse of the best part of the entire story. Barbara Gordon. She peeks her head in, just one panel I'm pretty sure. And she's black.
I'm sorry they're doing the redheads like that, bro. I know you're hot about it. I know you're hot about it. First the mermaid, now Barbara Gordon. What's this world coming to?
She is black. They did it again. Another redhead character just changed to black. Iris West, Wally West. Are we serious? We're just making them black for no reason and expecting people not to notice or expecting people to tolerate it. But I won't.
What you gonna do? Whoop ass? Motherfucker out here like Twisted Sister talking about he ain't gonna take it.
Scott Snider is an ultra retard. Just look at the last fight scene. I won't bring you through the entire thing because I'm kind of getting sick of this garbage even just looking at it. But basically, Batman drops down to stop these party animals. animals. What's the difference to normal Batman? He's basically the Hulk now. His cape has turned into Spawn's cape for some reason, because he can like push it out and drive people through windows and walls with it. I don't know what his cape is doing in the comic, and it's really odd. Then he rips off his ears. You know those things on his head? Yeah, he just rips them off and starts cutting guys, throwing them around. Then finally, when I was ready to puke my guts out because it was such a disgrace to the character of Batman, we get hit with this page. This bad guy comes up to him, edgy, cursing at Batman. Get the F out of her way. Batman then takes off his big loaf of bread logo, the big rectangle that doesn't even look like the Bat logo, and uses it as a hammer or something, or an axe, and slices the dude's arm off with no regard for whether or not he lives or dies. And then just goes, yeah, there's a hospital down the road. You should start running.
Did Batman not give him good advice? It's a hospital down the road. Get to stepping. What do you want? That's the regard. That's the regard right there. Bet his ass won't be out running around doing that shit again. So far, I have to believe that you were paid a nice sum of money to sell this comic. I wasn't going to buy this book. I'm going to get this book now, because this shit sounds incredible. You are either a troll or you are a fantastic salesman in the pocket of DC Comics. Because if it's not one of those things, then you have no idea what the hell a woke comic book is, and this is just a grift, and you just assume that woke means there's some black people in it and you don't like the book. Everything you just described was a classic working class superhero comic down to the black folks being in it. You've described the kind of comic book that people actually want. You know, the not woke stuff.
It's one of the cringiest things I've ever read. So Absolute Batman, without a doubt, is an absolute disaster. It's a waste of paper, a waste of ink, and a complete and utter waste of time. Batman is a detective. Frank Miller knew this. Jeff Loeb knew this. He's a normal guy who's smart enough as it is and knows how to kick ass and solve crimes. He's not Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he's definitely not some transgender emo kid. So take your absolute universe and stick it up your ass.
Okay, I'm finna call your ass out. You had to throw the little transgender barb in there to because you know you didn't describe a woke ass comic. You know you didn't describe a woke comic. That's not what you just did. And you know that. The book might be cringe in your opinion, but it's not woke. Not based on anything you said. The stuff you said is what people have been missing in comics. People say, we want this. That's badass. You may not think it's badass, but a lot of people do. A lot of people have been seeking this kind of comic and wishing it came back. Now, you say he's a detective. He's an engineer. They're going to use the engineer stuff to say he's that smart and that's how he can figure stuff out. I don't think you've been reading comic books or doing fiction or stuff long enough to... I mean, this is type of stuff you should just be able to see right now. You could just call out what they're going to do. But you think somehow they made him that much different than what he really is. Oh, Batman's not the Hulk. No, he's still a buff dude that kicks ass. And that's what you got right here. You got a buff guy kicking ass and taking names. That's what people like. I don't know what you're reviewing. I don't know how you could be angry about this book. You may not like it, but again, it's not woke. Other than that, guys, you take it easy. Nathan Brandon Masters. I'm going to actually pick up this book. Great job selling this. As always, link to the video is in the description. Hasta.